Hi, I'm Jason Mears and I'm going to take you through VMware Enterprise Blockchain, when to use a blockchain. So this video is going to rely heavily on the NIST guide that we've mentioned in other videos called Blockchain Technology Overview. There's an excellent section at the back of the document on when to use blockchain or an alternative solution such as a database, spreadsheet or email. We're going to cover each part of that flowchart that they provide in the next few sections. So first question is, do you need a shared consistent data store? If yes, blockchain may be for you. But if you don't need a shared consistent data store, then maybe blockchain isn't for you because they provide a historically consistent data store, and if you don't need that, maybe you don't need a blockchain. Maybe just using something like email or spreadsheets would be easier. So in summary, if nobody is ever going to rely on the consistency of the data store at a later date, we don't need a blockchain. Next question, does more than one entity need to contribute to the data? If so, then maybe we have got a use case for a blockchain, but if the answer to that is no, and your data comes from a single entity, then blockchains are typically used when data comes from multiple places where there's a working group or a consortium. So you might want to consider a database. The only caveat around that is around auditing. If you have some specific auditing requirements, it may still be worth looking at blockchain even if things are coming from a single entity. But if we're not expecting to share this data in real time with one or more other organizations, it may be that we don't need the blockchain. So next question, data records once written are never updated or deleted. If that is the case, then that's a great use for blockchain and the immutability and tamper-proof nature of it. But if the answer is no, then one thing to consider is blockchains do not allow modifications of historical data. They are strongly auditable. So in that instance, you might want to consider a database instead. So if you constantly need to update the same set of information over time, you probably want a database, not a blockchain. Sensitive identifiers. If you're not going to have sensitive identifiers being written to the data store, then maybe blockchain is a consideration for you. But if you are going to write sensitive information to a blockchain that needs confidentiality, maybe you want to have a look at something else instead, something like an encrypted database. Now there is a note on this. VMware Project Concord does actually have the ability to support private permission-based access to data, so it would be possible to use sensitive information in a blockchain if it was based on Project Concord, because we do have the availability to wrap around security and privacy and permission-based access control. It is worth pointing out the reason that the NIST paper says this is that most of the blockchains are typically public and permissionless. Next question. Are all the entities with write access having a hard time deciding who should be in control of the data store? If they are, then maybe we should look at a blockchain solution. If they're not, because there are no trust or control issues over who runs it, a traditional database solution might just be fine. So if it doesn't need to be decentralized, you might not need a blockchain. Last question. Do you want a tamper-proof log of all writes to the data store? If you do, then again, if you've got this far down the list, you may have a useful use case for blockchain. But if you don't need to audit what happened and when it happened, maybe again you don't need a blockchain. Maybe you should consider something like a database. So again, in summary, if you don't need a tamper-proof, tamper-evident audit trail, maybe a blockchain is not what you require. Just to point back to that guide and that document, it was from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, and the guide is called the Blockchain Technology Overview, and the relevant sections in that document which cover this are Section 8, Application Considerations, and Section 8.1, Additional Blockchain Considerations. So I hope you found some of that useful, and thank you very much for your time.